Egypt is a familiar destination to many, and a country with a complex binary character. On the one hand, it is endless ancient sands, unique architectural monuments, legends of gods and kings, and the noise of streets where time seems to have stopped. On the other hand, the modern hotel is an all-inclusive oasis with no face to delight tourists. But to see Egypt with different eyes, you just need to learn a little more about it. History and modernity are full of incredible surprises. Egypt is more than 50 centuries old. At the turn of the IV3 millennia BC, about 40 city-states on the banks of the Nile first united under the rule of two rulers. And then, after a bloody war between the upper and lower regions, under the sole rule of the victorious pharaoh Narma. The Sinai Peninsula is located between two continents, Africa and Asia. Egypt borders Libya, Sudan, Israel, and the Palestinian Authority, and is washed by the waters of the Mediterranean and Red Seas. Egypt is the most populous country in the Middle East, with over 9,700 million people in 2017. More than 90% of the territory is occupied by lifeless deserts, so they settle mainly along the Nile. About 35–40% of Egyptian adults earn less than $1 in 2 days, and only 2–3% of citizens can be called wealthy. Brigitte Jagesmitha. In 2011, a baby girl was born in Egypt and named Facebook. Yes, Jamal Ibrahim on Facebook. Jamal Ibrahim on Facebook. The unusual name, to put it mildly, was not invented by the happy father because, for example, the iconic social network introduced him to his wife, in Russian. Egypt is the most economically developed of all countries in the Middle East, and one of the main articles of income is tourism. It employs about 15% of the able-bodied population. The inflow of funds is also provided by ships passing through the Suez Canal, wealthy Egyptians living abroad, exporters of cotton, oil, fruits, and vegetables. The climate in Egypt is not the most tender. In summer, in the shade, the air warms up to +40 degrees Celsius. In the evening, it is considerably colder. +54. In the evening, it is much colder, so sweaters and windbreakers are useful. Hot winds of Khamsin bring clouds of sand. Fortunately, the mountains protect the resort from storms. The Red Sea, the warmest on Earth, is a good place for a vacation in winter. The average temperature for 1 month is +20. But at night, the thermometer column drops to +110 degrees, and there are frosts in the desert. Memphis is not only the last resting place of American Elvis Presley, but also the first capital of ancient Egypt. The city was once famous for its magnificent funerary and temple complexes, and today, its silt-covered ruins are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the pantheon of ancient Egyptians, there are more than 1,400 gods and goddesses. The most famous of them are the all-powerful Amun-Ra, the lord of the underworld Osiris, the goddess of motherhood and fertility Isis, the guide of souls Anubis, and the demiurge Puta. 9. The statuette of the Oscar-winning film looks suspiciously like a statuette of the Egyptian god Sokar, the patron saint of the dead, whose cult center was Memphis. The play of letters is also suggestive. If there is a coincidence, it is too ambiguous. Contrary to popular belief, the Egyptian pyramids, the only surviving miracle in the world, were built by the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, who was born much later than the events described, not by disenfranchised slaves, but by skilled laborers who received remuneration. Archaeologists recently discovered that the architect lived freely, ate high-quality food in an equipped dining room, and was buried next to the tomb of the pharaohs and honor unavailable tumor slaves. It is no accident that the glass pyramid at the entrance to the Louvre is reminiscent of King Khufu's tomb. It was inspired by the architect Bayuman, who wanted to pay tribute to the greatness of Egypt and its priceless cultural heritage. The Great Sphinx lost its nose in 1798 during Napoleon's war with the Turks, but this is not certain. Danish traveler Frederick Norden noticed the organ's absence nearly half a century ago, and some scholars attribute the vandalism to 14th century religious fanatics who met Muhammad's ban on drawing the creatures. The pharaohs were not as cute and slender as they appear in surviving paintings. They were often overweight due to the abuse of bread, honey, and alcohol, but court portrait painters are always keen to flatter. But no one knows what Cleopatra looked like. No authentic portrait remains that accurately portrays the figure of the seductive woman. On coins, she is depicted with large eyes, wavy curls, hooked nose, and protruding chin. An approximation still survives, as these are genetic traits of the Ptolemaic dynasty. 15. According to legend, the city of Heraklion, founded by the son of Zeus Heracles, was accidentally discovered in 2000 by Frank Gaudio from France. But not on land, but at the bottom of the Gulf of Abkira. Not far from Alexandria, at a depth of 10 meters, 14,000 artifacts, 64 ships, and mysterious ruins of wood, stone, and gold were hidden underwater in the 12th century. 16. About 80–90% of Egypt's population is Muslim, but the country also has Christian shrines. The Coptic churches in Cairo, St. Mary's Church, St. Anthony's Monastery, and St. Paul's Monastery in the Sinai Peninsula, St. Catherine's, and there is another Coptic church in Hurghada. 17. The highest point of the country is Mount Katarina, 2629 meters, located a few kilometers southwest of Sinai. Here ends the Sinai Way, according to Wanderlust magazine, one of the best hiking routes on the planet. 19. And Egypt is also the birthplace of cosmetics, as a cream used tinctures of medicinal plants, as a scrub, a mixture of sea salt and ground coffee beans, instead of mascara for eyelashes, burnt almonds, antimony, graphite, paint from crocodile droppings, beauty requires sacrifice, instead of blush, ground almonds, silk instead of shadows, soot, antimony, copper, ash, ochre. Ordinary Egyptian women whitened their faces with clay and chalk, but the beautiful Cleopatra, the same crocodile droppings, poor things. 20. Wigs too, most likely, were invented in ancient Egypt, but the situation with what they were put on, the head, is much more interesting. A transplanted skull has been found in one of the mummies, and the first images of the brain have been found in papyri. In addition, there is evidence of transplantation of limbs and internal organs, facial plastic surgery, heart bypass, and even sex change. All in all, modern medicine is only approaching the level of 1900 BC. 21. And again about the head, a special stand made of glass, wood, alabaster, or stone served the Egyptians as a pillow. But for the Egyptians who were not alive, they were dead. Thanks to the firm and high stand, the blood kept circulating, the body was awake, and the devil remained in place. 22. The national symbol of Egypt is the steppe eagle, which is depicted on the national emblem. This particular bird was depicted on the western wall of the Cairo citadel, built by Sultan Salah al-Din in the late 12th century. 23. In the Sinai Peninsula, there is a pharaoh's hammam, a cave with dry steam which is heated to 120, and just crawl through a cramped cave with Bedouins. After the sauna, it is pleasant to warm up in the underground hydrogen sulfide lake with mud, which treats rheumatism and other diseases. 18. Egyptians are still pioneers. Glass, cement, toothpaste, salt, pepper, mint, iris powder, combs, soap, animal fat, and lead or sodium carbonate extracted from the Nile.